What's going on? Zach Detmore here to give you a quick tour of my shop. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'll give you a quick run through, and if there's specific things you want to learn more about, just drop me a comment and I can make a video about that specifically. So the rough overview of this shop is really not what's inside it, but what's missing. I went ahead and culled through all of my tools and figured out what was essential and got rid of everything that was unessential. And I'm talking, I got rid of about 2/3 of my tools because, like a lot of tradespeople, I gathered more tools, thought I'm going to need these later, and accumulated cabinet making tools and specific tile installation tools and everything I could, trying to expand my abilities, but then those things ended up sort of overpowering my space and I wasn't able to find what I needed. So I dialed it back to what's essential, and here's what left. So let's talk about what's in this shop. As far as built-in tools, I have a table saw that I'm sitting on, a professional saw stop table saw. I've got a miter saw back there. I went with the Capex because it has slightly better dust control and can be close to the wall. I have a Craig pocket hole, Craig Foreman over there, and that's it. That's all the tools that are built in. The other tools that are kind of count as a big tool but don't is I have this hose, which is connected to a vacuum in the attic, and I have track saw, Festool standard sanding tools, and Domino, and the basic Festool lineup. I have those, and I do those at the workbench. So I've deemed that the Festools and the miter saw and the table saw and the pocket hole were the only things I used enough to have built in, and everything else could be set up as needed. And by everything else, I mean a thickness planer. I got rid of my joiner, router table, you name it. It was unessential. I can hire people to build doors. If I need super high-end doors, I can hire super skilled people to make those doors, but making a door myself didn't make sense anymore. So I outsourced it, and I sort of had that similar epiphany about a lot of things in my career. So let's jump into what else is in this shop. So the table saw is an important part of any shop. So I've got mine right up at the front, connected to a dust collection. I've got the overarm for dust collection. Once again, dust collection is crucial. Not because I care about my lungs, which I do, but I think it's mostly crucial because every time you make a mess with a tool, then you need to come back and clean up that mess, and that costs you time and money. And if you have employees working for you, if they're spending time cleaning up, it costs you money. And if they leave the place a mess because they're trying to work quickly to please you, then you're going to hate them anyway. So you may as well give them the best shot and give yourself the best shot at success. I've got it on a mobile stand so I can move it around, which is great. Once again, keeping things modular if I ever want to get out of here. So table saw outfeeds onto the Polk Workbench, which is a great setup. Nothing wrong with that. So let's start under the workbench. I've got a 40-foot Rockler vacuum hose connected to a 6-horsepower rigid shop vac that's connected to a Bluetooth switch with the remote is connected to the edge of the hose. So if I'm using a cordless router or similar tool, I can plug it in and then switch it off as needed. And I also have some wands that I keep at the end of the shop there, and I can, connect them and clean up the shop. There is diminished suction on this compared to just plugging into the edge of this, but the convenience of it makes it worthwhile for me. This is my Harvey dust collector. It's connected to the table saw, and it's connected to the underside of the miter saw over there. It does not have an automatic turn-on switch, so I have to hit the run button if I'm using it there, and I have to hit the remote if I'm using the table saw. Not ideal, but it gets the job done, and it's the only one I could find that fit under the workbench, which gave me more workbench space. So that's why I went with this unit. Moving on down the line, we've got the miter saw. Got to have trash under it. I've got trash under the table saw as well. I've got a CT36 that collects dust from the miter saw, and then I've got my little clamp rack. I did keep all my clamps. I didn't just throw them out, but I figured these were getting used the most, so I gave them a prominent position, and then all my other clamps went into long-term storage, basically, which is, not convenient to get to. Then I have basic tools in here, like I have all my fancy drills and commonly used hand tools, and then miscellaneous things like bench dogs, all my blades that I keep in stock, and then random drilling things and mechanic stuff, and then just junk drawer, and then this is like overflow blade storage. Moving on down the line, I've got my pocket hole jig, a MIDI vacuum that's connected to the pocket hole jig. I've got a couple clamps, and you know, there's a theme in this shop which is borrowed or stolen from FastCap, which is answer the question, or put the answer where the question is. So if you're using the CT vacuum and you need a bag, there's a bag at it, right? And if you're using the Craig machine and you need a screw other than the 1 1/4, which are above it, then the Craig screws are close to it. And if you need something for the router, it's grouped together. So that's a common theme you're gonna see, and I was trying to respect that law when I designed this place. So at the corner of the shop, I've got a thickness planer. This is the only heavy duty piece of equipment that I did not give a designated spot to because it doesn't get used that much, but because it's on a dolly, it's easy to roll it out, use it, and then put it away. And you'll notice this is the corner of the shop, and I have nothing in the corner because the corner is a difficult spot to access. So I left it open. There's nothing in the corner. That's a luxury of having enough space for what you have. So if I was loading up my van with tools for a job, I would back it up right here, open up the door, and how convenient is that, right? Then I would have access to do inventory. And my most commonly used fasteners are all here for cabinetry and millwork installation, and then commonly used caulks and glues are all close to the van. So my van would be parked there, I could bring stuff right out to it. So that's one of the smart layout things. Same thing for tools. If I left a grinder, which is a commonly used tool, on a job, I could grab one from the grinder department. I could grab an extra circular saw or 3. Commonly used tools like caulking guns. I don't have every tool that was ever invented here. I just kept bulk tools that I knew got left behind commonly, and then I kept pretty essential ones that are specific, like a domino and sanders and routers, etc. But there's duplicates of tools that live in the van and the remodeling setups here. All the fasteners are along here. There's a dado in the front of the workbench that holds the screws. Each one has a QR code, so when you're doing inventory, you pull out this. If it were empty or you dumped it into one of the van containers, which matches in size, and then scan the QR code, it would bring you to a website to reorder. Pretty simple process to do, but it's been helpful to keep things not missing. There's extra storage up here, and then of course the miter station. The miter station is one of my favorite builds here because I think it's a good use of money. So basically, you just drop it down, you line it with FRP, and then I ran a piece of FRP over the top, which catches that sort of overspray, and it also helps the downdraft from the dust collector, which is about 750 CFM. If you have it on full blast, it's probably less than that because of the size of the duct I ran. I only ran a 4-inch duct, but anyway, this FRP top allows you to bevel the saw, and then the fact that it is FRP means no sawdust really sticks to it. It's very easy to vacuum and clean up. So I love this. It's kept the air dust way down. It's performed as well as I hoped it would, so I'm happy with that. It's a good old situation over here. So moving on down the line, I put French cleats all over the walls in the shop, so if I move, which is very likely, I will pull these off and hang them in the new shop. This whole organizer comes off the wall. This battery organizer comes off the wall. A lot of people are bothered by the fact that it's on an angle. That's just so you're always cycling through batteries. You don't have to remember which one you used last. You just pull from this side and then they all slide down. So I thought it was a good idea. I'm knocking screws off of this, which is maybe perhaps a flaw in my design, although typically I'm not leaning against this facing away. I've got the Craig, I've got plenty of drills in here, extra drills, so I'm never changing heads. I just have a lot of drills. I've got glue out, and it's got a QR code under it, and I've got extra storage. I noticed there was just aerosol cans that I used that were hanging out, so I have some unlabeled ones and then labeled ones. Commonly use items, the essentials for me were fuel, matte polyurethane, primer, and Bondo. Those are the essentials. So there's no overflow cabinet in my shop of extra solvents. There's no paint thinner. This is it. This is what I deemed essential, except this. This is just, I don't know what that's doing there. These are just here for no reason. There's nothing behind there. And then inventory for van, paper towels, garbage bags, blue tape. These are essential inventory items. They're also, you know, sort of staged in a way that I can access them. And the shelf is made for a full size of garbage bags and a 6-pack of paper towels. So the inventory size is sort of built around the shelf. So the next thing I've got is a plywood cart. It's basically just a cart shaped like this that I put plywood on, and then I can put inside of it essential inventory items for the van. So what I keep is 1x3 pine for spreaders for appliances, and then 1x4 melamine. And I use that for templates. So if I have a difficult cut or I need to make a template for something, I have it in the van all the time, makes it easy. All my Rubin sandpaper, Granat sandpaper's up there, Rubin sandpaper's over here, and then pneumatic corners over here. So this is long enough to air up all the tires in my van if I pulled it back. And I've got, of course, the filler for that, and the commonly used nail guns for the shop were brads and pins, so I kept that. And I have fittings and air guns. That's all the pneumatic stuff I deemed necessary. So that's what I've got over here. On this side of the Polk workbench, you can see I have all my pack outs and Milwaukee organizers. Those are sort of for specific things that I don't do a lot of. So like drywall anchors and some plumbing fittings. Basically stuff for my own house, let's be honest. So the Polk workbench is a crucial part of the workshop. It's, you can buy the plans from him. He's a big YouTuber, big inspiration for me. I've got a little mobile base I made. I put a roll of red Rosin paper, or craft paper rather, on it. That allows me to flip it over and clamp it to the table. And then I've got my rails. I've got a long one and a short one with a square on it mounted on 3D printed brackets. And that's been a really functional move. I like that because my vacuum hose sucks from the ceiling, so I can pretty much just grab a rail, put it away. It's been the best move I've made in the shop when it comes to productivity from a carpentry standpoint. So at the other front corner of the building, I just have a little pressure washer and some cleaners. And the main thing I use this for is getting sand off the van if it's the middle of the winter, and cleaning. I've got, miscellaneous cleaning tools in here. And I also use it for detailing cleaning tools, like, you got spackle guy dropping stuff all over your ladder. You use a power washer to clean it up really nice, and it looks better on the next job. Just keeps all our tools lasting a little longer and looking a little fresher. So having the pressure washer built in is something that I didn't think I would like, but I really do. And I don't think it's essential what pressure washer you get, but I went with a cheap pressure washer and an expensive reel, because the pressure washer is relatively easy to replace, and I knew maybe it would be underpowered or overpowered or not what I needed. But I knew if the reel was leaking inside, it would drive me nuts. So I bought a good reel, and I'm very happy with it. And I just used a PVC pipe to hold it, and I'm pretty satisfied with the setup. So far, my $60 pressure washer investment has been more than up to the job. And then I have all the valves in the corner too to control that, which is very handy. So this is the clean side of the shop, the office side. I call it the foffice, the shopsis, the shoffice. This is called the shoffice. So basically what I have here is I found it was inconvenient to like print a set of plans and go make something in the shop, or be working in here, loading up tools, and then have to jump on the computer something for a quick meeting with a client. So I put an office in the shop. It's one of the best moves I've ever done because it's just sped up that transition time. I put a standing desk in so I can stand up and work at the computer, and all the things I need commonly are here. I've got my famous Dymo label maker that I'm a fan of, board to work on, and then I've got all sort of camera equipment that I need and office supplies all organized into this. Once again, both of these are on wheels, so if the office moves this year, so does that. Got my printer, paper cutter, and then obviously we receive a lot of client orders for different things, so we can open them up, make sure they're good, then they get stacked over there on that side of the shop. And then if we have any returns, we can handle that there. There's tape, everything's organized, and it's on a French cleat. So I just pull that off. Recycling and garbage and paper, everything goes there. So this is the shopist part, very important part of the shop. And something I wish I did earlier was condition the space and add internet. I don't know what was wrong with me, but it didn't seem essential at the time. But it's way more essential than a router table was. So one thing I did design into this shop, which you may not think of, if you're a carpenter, is good lighting. So I didn't really want to do anything expensive because, once again, like I said, I could move, find a better place, or if the business expands. So I just went with a keyless light fixture. Then I could put a standard bulb or a high output bulb, and then I could put a pull chain on it, which allowed me to turn it on and off. And I put them about every 6 feet, and you can kind of see them behind me. But I'll show you what a difference it makes having control of the lighting. Right? Something you don't think about, but you do notice when it's done wrong versus right. So that's a shop tour for you. Thank you for sticking with me. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll go through and answer those personally. And of course, shoot more videos if there's any specific parts of the project you have questions about. Thanks for watching as always. I'm Zach Detmore. See you later.